So a relationship ends and no contact begins. But how are you as a fearful avoidant actually feeling? Or how is a fearful avoidant feeling if this is your ex or somebody you are dating or seeing? In today's video, I am going to break everything down for you, all of the ins and outs, even the time periods in which fearful avoidants tend to process their emotions when somebody goes no contact with them. And my hope is for you that you use this as an awareness tool to make sure that if you're going through no contact, you know how to respond, how to best show up, how to protect your heart, and how to make sure you don't fall into these extremely painful pitfalls that most people do in this scenario that keeps them repeating these same old patterns. So you're going to find out what those are and what to do. First and foremost, no contact is essentially, pretty self-explanatory. It's a phase of time where you literally will not contact or have any type of contact with somebody who is your ex. And that's generally what it refers to. Yes, we can have no contact with family members who are unhealthy, with friendships that we know it's time to really take a break from or potentially end if it's also unhealthy. But it's most often discussed in the context of romantic partnerships. When we take a look at no contact with a fearful avoidant, it's interesting because what we know about the fearful avoidant is they have the anxious side and they have the avoidant side. And generally what you'll see with fearful avoidant attachment styles is when there's a lot of closeness, in fact, a little too much closeness for what a fearful avoidant can handle or feels comfortable handling, you'll see them push more into their avoidant side. So you'll see them sort of retreat or go into their shell or avoid, or sometimes even stonewall or ice somebody out. But when there's a lot of space, the fearful avoidant, when they have an attachment with somebody, like a bond built, they're more likely to actually push into their anxious side. And so no contact will often be something that affects fearful avoidance in a couple of crucial ways. We'll talk about 4 major ways. One of the first things you'll see for fearful avoidance when somebody goes no contact with them is very initially, they may experience some kind of relief or freedom. This is often if there was a really tumultuous relationship, the relationship wasn't working out, they felt engulfed or too enmeshed in the relationship dynamic. Often at first, fearful avoidants will experience a little bit of relief, but they generally have a period of time, sort of this space in which this relief is meaningful to them. And that period of time is generally around 3 to 6 weeks. If somebody's leaning much more avoidant, sometimes it can be slightly longer, but we'll generally see for this first bout of time, fearful avoidants are oh, I'm free, I'm on my own, I can do this. But what we will then see is that fearful avoidants, when they get out of that sort of avoidance side, they sort of get their fill of being on their own and having their needs for autonomy and independence met. There's a bit of a boomerang effect that tends to happen when somebody's truly no contact with them. And this is also because in that first initial few weeks, the fearful avoidant may feel okay, I'm in my sort of space. I have my own time. I can do whatever I want now. And then we'd have this sort of concept of freedom. Often as well, they spend that period of time numbing because while they value freedom and autonomy, they also don't really love to be alone for too long. And so they may, on the other side of this, actually feel a little bit of discomfort or fear. And sometimes we'll see after a breakup that a fearful avoidant will really get into their creature comforts. And what that means is they'll really get invested in things like maybe drinking too much or numbing in a variety of different potential ways, distracting themselves too much, exercising way too much, things that are coping mechanisms to kind of avoid themselves. So while this initial lure of, oh, the freedom, I can do whatever I want, seems enticing and seems exciting, they may come to see over the next few weeks that I'm actually feeling a little bit lonely. I'm actually feeling really disconnected. I'm actually a little afraid to be on my own, because fearful avoidance, usually an unhealed fearful avoidant, has a lot of relationship building to do in the relationship to themselves, right? They don't usually love being alone with themselves. They can enjoy their alone time, but I want to be really clear here that alone time doesn't necessarily mean being alone with yourself, right? Alone time, if I'm just binge watching television or drinking, right? You're not with yourself. You're not embodied. You're not present with yourself during that experience. And so alone time at a surface level is interesting, but being with yourself, understanding yourself, listening to your emotions, unpacking what it is that you're looking for in life, processing your pain, introspecting, all these different things are being with yourself. Numbing, watching television, going out all the time and partying, or all these different things, that's not being with yourself. I just wanted to pop in here and let you know we are doing a 7-day free trial to the All Access Membership Pass at PDS, which means you get access to literally everything inside of the school. And this includes the 4 live webinars I do with our students every single week. And on top of that, you get access to all of our different courses. We have over 55 different courses on relationships, communication, boundaries, emotional mastery, guilt and shame, learning your needs, so many different facets that are really important to master our lives and feel really good about our lives going forward. And last but not least, there's a daily community event. We have trained facilitators and coaches who are in there doing that work, showing up to support you on your journey every single day. Please join me on the other side. Come check it out. See if it's a fit for you. I'd love to see you there. Go ahead and sign up by clicking the link in the description box below. With that being said, you'll see that's really point number 2 is after that initial sort of relief and freedom, we may actually see this stage in no contact for fearful avoidance of ambivalence, where the fearful avoidant kind of becomes like touch and go. They're enjoying their freedom, but then they sort of have this intermediary zone where they're like, I don't know, I kind of miss talking to my partner. I'm kind of interested in like what could have been. And they may start to kind of ruminate or reflect on what led to the downfall of the relationship, potentially miss their partner. And again, I want to be really clear here. If you are an ex of a fearful avoidant, if you break no contact before this period of time, these things don't like onset essentially. So, the fearful avoidant, especially the way in which you break no contact, if it's like you break no contact and you're reaching out and you're really trying to make things work, those sorts of dynamics, not always the best situation. So that's the big point number 2. Then we get to part 3 here of what the fearful avoidant tends to experience is after that initial, let's call it for simplicity's sake, roughly 6 weeks of the relief and then the ambivalence and the kind of wondering, then we have the fearful avoidant kind of enter into the next stage of how they're affected by no contact, which is they tend to start missing the ex. They sort of have this like desire for reconnection. But I want to be really clear here again. It doesn't mean that a fearful avoidant is like ready to reconnect. It doesn't mean when I say desire for reconnection, they're thinking about it. They're much more rooted in that than they are rooted in the desire for freedom. However, I've seen this time and time again. If an ex reaches out to a fearful avoidant and is like, I miss you, we want to get back together, and they're that direct and they don't like leave time for things to kind of rebuild or for different discussions to happen, it will polarize the fearful avoidant back into their avoidant side. When you're having this like desire for reconnection, they're interested in reconnecting, not necessarily getting right back into a relationship. And there's actually a really big difference. And so there's this phase around that time period where and again, I'm going to be clear here as well about something. This doesn't mean all relationships, right? If there was a really terrible relationship, it didn't even last long, you never even really made it past the dating stage or honeymoon stage, it was toxic, fearful avoidants may not be like interested in getting back together. But if there was like a really long-term meaningful relationship, this tends to be the cycle that they follow. So then there'll be this kind of like desire for reconnection, but if it's fed into too quickly, they'll polarize and run away. And so in this desire for reconnection space, even though fearful avoidants kind of value their space still, they're usually missing their ex and they're feeling their feelings about it. They're out of that like self-numbing stage. And so then we hit the 4th stage. Okay. So we've got the freedom stage, then we have the kind of ambivalence stage, then we have the desire for reconnection stage. And then we have the rebonding stage if approached correctly, right? And this is the space that fearful avoidants are actually interested in like really investing back in the relationship. It's not something where they're like, oh, I'm thinking about it, I'm ruminating about it, I'm questioning myself, I'm missing this person. It's like, no, they're actually taking action. And in this stage, it is super important for you as the ex, whether you're another fearful avoidant or any other attachment style, to do a few crucial things. Number 1, you have to have a discussion about what wasn't working the first time around. Put some strategies and ideas together for like how we can do it differently, because what we never want to see, what I never want to see, is people who are in an unhealthy relationship dynamic break apart and then get back together and just repeat the same patterns. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So there has to be actual discussion. And I know sometimes it can be scary to have these discussions, but it's of the utmost importance. Like, what wasn't working? What can we do differently? What were things we didn't realize were hurting each other? And how can we improve on those things? How can we be more validating of each other's feelings and perspectives, more sensitive to each other's needs, take more action steps in terms of investing in the relationship more effectively? And this is where like we can actually rebond effectively. And believe it or not, fearful avoidants, they want to have these discussions. Like, I know some attachment styles shy away a little bit more. Fearful avoidants are all about this kind of stuff because they want that transparency. They want that depth. They want that openness. So these are really important discussions to have within that stage. I hope this made sense for you in terms of the major major things that fearful avoidants will often feel during no contact, and some action steps for what you can do differently the next time around. If you're enjoying this channel, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing. It really helps the algorithm. I would super appreciate it. And if you have questions for me down below, please ask. I'm more than happy to make other video content based on your questions, your suggestions. I go back then in there, I take a look, I read through them, I extract the good ideas and make videos about them accordingly. So, anyways, I hope this is helpful for you. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to see you in future videos.